All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Walking Dead video for today, leading up to the 6th episode for The Walking Dead Season 10. In this one, we're going to start with giving our thoughts on Chandler Riggs' thoughts on how he thinks The Walking Dead television series will end, and Judith getting Carl's comic book version ending. Alright, so I think this is probably going to be our last type of Q&A video for this week until we see the new episode on Sunday night for The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 6. It looks like a great episode. We've done quite a few videos this week leading up to it, so I think we're probably good until then, but do want to do some of the top 10s that we were talking about this week, so we may get into that. Now, this one comes from Skybound. They have a new Walking Dead podcast interview type thing they're doing called Talk Dead to Me, and Chandler Riggs was on it, and I'll put the information in the description below so you guys can go ahead and read this through to see it. But it says The Walking Dead's Chandler Riggs, who of course played Carl in the TV series version, expects Judith to get Carl's comic book ending. So you guys can check out skybound.com if you want to listen to the whole thing through, and hear from Chandler, because that's really cool. So far as I can recall, I think he's been busy doing other movies and TV series and things like that, so that's great. I'm really happy for him. I'm happy that he's continued to be successful and continue to, it sounds like make some really smart moves in his career, continue to do really well off of the success of The Walking Dead, and I'm happy for that. College is like whatever. You can go to college, you can do that stuff, but I'm happy for him, man. It sounds like he's doing good, and so that's great, right? So here's what he had to say about what he expects to see happen in the television series, because he does reveal here that he is a comic book reader. Like at the end here it says, the comics have been a pretty big part of my life too, he said. When I auditioned for the show, that's when I started reading the comics. So I've been reading the comics for almost 10 years, so to see them come to a close was pretty heartbreaking, but I'm happy with how it ended for sure, and it was a very satisfying ending. So that's really cool. Maybe I should try to get Chandler on for us. Maybe we could do like a hangout video with him or something if he wants to do it. I'm not sure if he want to do it, but we'll see. Maybe I'll reach out to him, see if he wants to come on for a video with us, guys. Wouldn't that be fun if we could get him to do that? If we get him to agree to it, I might not be able to pay him enough, though. We'll see. So I think so. I think if anything, it'll have to be Judith sitting in that chair regarding to or reading to her son or daughter. Riggs told Skybound's Talk Dead to Me podcast when asked if Carl's half-sister Judith, Cailey Fleming, might one day replace him in this scene. Says, quote, "But I don't think the show is going to end like that." So what he's saying here is that he thinks we'll get that scene, and that scene will be adapted in the television series, and Judith will be giving it, but he does not think that will actually be the end of the television series. And I think that shows how kind of up with it he is and how smart he is, because that's my thoughts exactly, is that, they'll have that scene, but AMC is not going to want to let it go. They're not going to, with regards to Walking Dead. And they're smart to do this too, and I actually appreciate it as a fan. Some people are like, oh, it just ended already. But me, I'm like, no, man. Because then after it ends, then what are you going to do? It's not fun anymore, right? It's like after a little while, it's not fun. So I'm happy that they're going to continue it, keep it right on going. You can sort of have ends in the show and then have the show continue afterwards. Like if you look at what comes after, that's sort of Rick's end, if you think about it. But then the show just keeps going after. So you can have ends and have it continue to keep going. And it says here, I think they've strayed so far away from the source material, the comics, and with this whole CRM thing that's going on with the different shows, I think it's leading up to be a completely different ending from anything else that we've seen, Riggs said. So I'm really excited to see where Scott Gimple, the Walking Dead Chief Content Officer, leads all these storylines, the entire franchise. It's going to be really interesting. To the surprise of many, creator Robert Kirkman ended the Walking Dead comics without warning over the summer. The oversized 72-page issue ended with a letter from Kirkman confirming the book would not continue. And then it says here, I was honestly so surprised. I remember reading the comic and I was like, oh man, this is going to be so cool. I can't wait to see the new frontier and hear all about these crazy things that have happened. It did kind of set it up pretty nice for more things to happen, but then it said the end. And I was like, wait, wait, what? No. I was really, really shocked, which I guess was the point of it, Riggs said. Yeah, it was weird reading Robert's message at the end. I was in denial for a while, like, no way, it can't be over. It's been going on for so many years, there's no way. So I just thought that was kind of cool. You guys can check out the rest if you want to for the Talk Dead to Me podcast. I'll probably listen to it after this video through and hear the whole thing through, but that's cool to hear from him because, you know, like when I see him and stuff, I just think, oh, it's Carl, right? You know, like, I understand he's just an actor. This happens with everybody, right? Like it's an actor playing a character, but you know, every time I can't get over it. Every time I see him, I just think, oh, it's Carl, you know, like what's Carl doing? So that's awesome, right? It's like typecasting or something. I don't know. It's like, you know, it's just stuck in that role for me forever. I'll always think of him as Carl, right? That's what it is. You know, so it's really cool. It's so sad the way the TV series thing, but we've talked about that enough over the years. I think there's no reason to repeat or anything like that. And I'm happy to see it sounds like he's still kind of a fan of the comics, and then he's also a fan of the television series. He's looking forward to seeing what they're doing, even after he departed ways with them. Because I know there have been certain, you know, especially when certain actors, actresses are killed off prematurely. One in particular, which I won't mention any names from one of the earlier seasons, I remember, when she was killed off, she was like really pissed. And, you know, so whenever we would ask her about it afterwards, she just, you know, like, but you got to understand, like, too, for them, sometimes they might buy houses, you know, near where they're gonna work and everything, and they might do that whole thing. So if they're unexpectedly killed off, you know, that can be a big thing for their career. And of course, some of them, I would think, do pretty well. So if they're doing really well and then all of a sudden, boom, it's done, you know, that can be a big shocker for them. That can really, really suck, right? So we gotta appreciate that and understand that too. Plus, you know, everybody thought he was going to continue on like forever. So I'm happy to hear that he's doing well with it, and you know, it sounds like he's not really taking it personally, and he's still kind of doing his thing. So big ups to him. Big shout out to Chandler. You know, we're all rooting for him in his career and everything, and happy to see that he's doing great so far. So I wanted to include that at least to start things off. So he thinks that the TV series version, you know, will have that part in it, but it'll be Judith who gets it. It's weird the way they kind of set that up. So the big change, if you guys want to think back, is during Too Far Gone, during season 4. The big difference between the comics and TV series is that Tyrese saves Judith in the television series version. And because Tyrese saves Judith, she lives. She survives. In the comic series version, she actually, I believe she dies during that part. Or at least is kind of like dies or is left there, and then we're to assume that she's basically dead. So in the comics, she sort of gets killed off. With her not being killed off in the TV series version, I guess they decided to go with her as the future instead of Carl, and that's the big change in the way things kind of worked out instead. So whatever. Big Red asked, do we know what happened to Heath? So every so often you still get these questions about Heath. Well, in reality, what really happened to Heath is the actor Corey, is it Corey Hawkins or Corey, whatever. Yeah, it's probably something like that. You know, the actor who played Heath started getting some pretty good roles in movies and stuff like that. I think Straight Outta Compton and movies like that. So he just basically never came back. I think they did intend to have him come back, and we might see him in the Walking Dead movie. That's possible. But other people have kind of said, like, you know, if you look at Wes from Fear the Walking Dead, he's pretty similar to Heath in a lot of ways. They even have like one name, you know, the first. Now there's a lot of characters like Negan who don't have a last name in that, but some people see some similarities between Heath and Wes. So I don't know. We'll see what they do in Fear the Walking Dead with Wes. I don't know if it's intentionally supposed to be similar to Heath. He doesn't look that similar. I'm not being racist here, guys. So that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that, like, you know, we'll have to see if they even bring him back in the movies at all. I would think they probably won't. And, you know, I don't know if that's what they were going for with the Wes character, but I get a Heath vibe from him personally. He's got some similarities there to him, his hair and stuff like that. So it's not trying to be like a race thing, right? So Dylan Schneider says someone should call in Talking Dead and tell him to bring Trev on. So after the video that we did a couple days ago, yeah, and I'll leave the link in the description. If you guys want to do something like that, AMC.com below. You can send them a message if you want to about that. I'd still like to go if they ever want to have me on, but it's no big deal if not. But if you guys want to fill that out and submit that through, you can definitely go ahead and do that. Brandon Neer says Brandon was like Trev being a fanboy of Negan. Damn, classic Negan. I know Trev was rolling. I absolutely was. I was. Vince Bosshard said, I want to smoke a blunt with Trev. The thing is, dude, I don't smoke weed, man. Yeah, I know I'm Canadian, right? It's like it's legal here now, so it's like, you're Canadian, you don't smoke weed? It's like, no, I don't, man. Even when they legalized it and everybody was getting stoned for like a month. I still didn't do it because I just I don't know, man. Weed is not, I don't know. I understand it can calm you down and stuff like that, and but it's not good for you, man. That's the one thing I'll tell you guys. I know a lot of you guys smoke weed, so I don't want to come down too much as like a fatherly figure here, this type of thing, or like I'm perfect or anything. I'm not. But try not to smoke too much weed, guys, because it does slow you down a lot. It just slows down, your reaction time. It slows down, and it doesn't wear off that quickly. That's the one thing about it. Like even a couple months after, a month after, a couple weeks after, you're still kind of probably slower than you would be otherwise if you hadn't have done it. So I don't smoke weed. Sorry, Vince. I'd love to do something like that with you. I could have a drink with you, man, but I don't smoke weed. Corpo24, Access and Allies says, Trev, you would definitely be Brandon. So a lot of people this week just think Brandon's like Trev, and that's who he is. He's like Trev in the zombie apocalypse. He's like this creepy Negan follower who's like killing kids and stuff. It's like, that's... I'd like to think I would not do that. JP Zombie Slayer 97 says, is Negan going to be the one to kill Alpha like in the comics, or should that moment be given to Carol with all the intense buildup between the two? So my theory is that it'll be both. It'll be Carol who sent in Negan, so that's what I think. But I could be totally wrong. Maybe Alpha will survive out this half, and she won't be killed off in this mid-season finale, and maybe we'll see her back in the second half too. And so if they do that, and they do some kind of, remix or change like that, that could be cool too. TWD Pepper says, do you think the mystery Sadiq is trying to solve could be the sickness going around? We heard over the radio that Rosita is sick. Maybe he finds out water has been poisoned by the walkers, and hopefully that's what's wrong with Zeke. Probably not, but I hope if Zeke dies, we cry. So that's what TWD Pepper said. So we did hear that Rosita was sick, and yeah, it probably is from the whispers, contaminating the water, or at least putting that bacteria into the water. Now, some people say, well, that wouldn't work, whatever. I don't know. If you boil the water maybe before you use it, then maybe it's okay. If you don't, then I'm not sure. If there's the way I think about it is like if there's bacteria in it, and that stuff is dead bacteria, so it's very very nasty stuff if you ingest it or you put it in the body, then I think it would work at least to a degree. But I don't know. That's my thoughts. Other people are saying like, that wouldn't work at all. But it could be, man. And it also makes it seem like the whispers are pretty messed up. The people are trying not to blame them and stuff like this. But what Earl says is probably right. Like, they probably already are at war, and they just need to wise up to that fact and realize that that's where they're at, instead of, trying to kind of act like they can abide by the Whisperers stuff. The Whisperers are systematically beating them down and taking them out. So yeah, it's gonna. So pretty soon we're gonna see war break out 100%. Eric says, I love JDM, but man, I wish you would bulk up more. So I think we did discuss this a couple years ago as well too, about Negan's size. And the thing is, JDM actually responded to it. I think too is that the thing is, I think he's in his 50s and that, and so he's not that young. He does look pretty young. Like he could probably pass for somewhere in his 40s, something like that. But he's not that young, and it is really difficult to also with actors and their profession. They what they mostly focus on is that they want to look good on camera, which means what do you want to have? You have to have a low body fat percentage. If you're going to be a prominent actor. So if you bulk up a lot as a guy, you start to put on some fat and stuff like that. It's just natural. If you're going to be lifting big weight, you can't just put on muscle by itself. You're going to be putting on fat too most of the time. I mean, there's rare cases. Certain programs you can do. Maybe you can fight against that, add cardio in and stuff. But for most people, that's what it is. And at his age, it's kind of like, yeah, he can work out a bit and stuff like that. Maybe add a little bit of size, but it's going to be difficult considering his age and stuff stuff, unless they put them on testosterone or something. And being on test is not good. It's not good for your body. Eventually, because of red blood cell production, testosterone kills men. So if you take steroids or you take a lot of test boosters and stuff like that, it's good to get your blood, like donate blood and stuff like that. It's good to lower it because you lower down the red blood cell count, and that can cause, especially in guys who take. That's why a lot of wrestlers, they don't live very long, because later on the testosterone that they took, it messes them up and it causes too much like health problems like that. So I'm not a doctor anyway, but seriously, steroids are bad. Testosterone can be really bad. So at his age, it's kind of like whatever. Plus, we don't know how many more years he's going to be in The Walking Dead for anyway. Maybe a couple more years. So it's what it is. So the next one will be Q&A, Trev. It looks like Alpha is setting up Gamma to get Aaron's trust, but do you think it's a good idea? What if he mentions Lydia? That kind of revelation could definitely cause Gamma to turn on her and join the group, especially after that scene she had at the dam. What are your thoughts? So, that could be kind of cool if they have Gamma be an in-between, sort of like where she's loyal to Alpha and everything, but then maybe she finds out. I like your ideas. If she finds out Lydia is alive and that Alpha's a liar and that none of that is true and everything, maybe she'll still be loyal to Alpha no matter what because of what happened with her sister. So it's going to be hard for her to go back on that. If she took Alpha's side over her sister, then it's going to be difficult for her to kind of go back the other way. But it could be interesting if she finds out that Alpha's a liar and that Lydia really is there, and that's why she won't just go in and kill them all. Because she doesn't want Lydia to get hurt as part of that. So, man, that could be cool stuff. And I like the idea of her going in undercover. He should have seen what she was doing. Maybe he didn't realize it, and he just thought she was killing some walkers or something, and that's just what happened. Maybe it didn't connect for him that she was deliberately doing that in the water on purpose. So we'll see what happens, but I'd like to see that. I do think that Gamma's an interesting character, and of course, Thora Birch is a prominent actress to have on The Walking Dead. So maybe they do have bigger plans for her than just one season. We'll see. But for now, I'll stick with maybe a season character, and then maybe two. We'll see. Dr. Death says zombies plus Leatherface equals Whisperers. Beta is my favorite villain in the series. I love them and really wish Rick was around to witness the new enemy. So that's true. And I think Andrew Lincoln did say that he thought the show was so good right now, and he said that he left at the wrong time last year. When the second half was airing, he said he left at the wrong time because the Whispers were really good. And I think even he saw it and he thought, oh man, this could have been cool if I would have been there to do this part with the Whispers, maybe regretting that he had left like that. But I think that's every producing, hardworking man. After they step away from something, they wish they could get back in and do the work again. They get bored really fast, and they're used to just working all the time. So then they kind of come away from the work, and all they want to do is go back to work. So that's what I think it is. But it's true that the series has turned out about as good as it probably possibly could without Rick in it. With Rick leaving, they've done an incredible job of keeping it going. There are so many other things that could have gone wrong and could have happened, and people could have lost interest, but they've done a good job of keeping it going, even without Rick. And I agree with Dr. Death that the Beta is very likable. I find Beta to be extremely likable. And so we'll see what they do with them. But the Whisperers are a very cool group of villains in The Walking Dead. I think they're one of the best they've ever had. Right up there with Governor, Saviors, Terminus. They're one of the best groups of villains we've ever seen. Maybe the best, or maybe second to Governor and Woodbury, or second to Negan and Saviors, depending on what you like, Hunters, whatever. Anyway, that'll be it for today's video, guys, and I'll probably see you back again on Sunday. I don't know if I'll have any more until then, but we'll see if I can get one of those top 10s done. And if you like today's video, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite, and you can subscribe at the bottom left if you're new. That's it with this one. See you guys again soon for another. As always, this is Trev, and I'm saying peace later, guys. See you soon.